আমরা যদি ঢাকার থেকে আপনাদের মালিককে বলতে চাই হবে আমাদের কাস্টমার খবর
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Douglas E. Goldman from the Goldman Environmental Foundation.
Welcome to the 27th Goldman Environmental Prize ceremony. On behalf of my fellow board members, my siblings, Susie and John, along with our families and the staff of the Goldman Environmental Foundation, it is my pleasure to greet all of you today. We greatly appreciate your continuing interest and support of the Goldman Prize. I am pleased to inform you that this past year has included major strides in the effort to protect from ongoing terminal destruction both our planet and its inhabitants, which includes us. Some of the most noteworthy accomplishments are the following. 1, this past December at the Paris Climate Conference, known as COP21, 195 nations adopted the first ever universal, legally binding global climate agreement, which will fight climate change, limit carbon emissions, and hasten the transition to clean energy. 2, consistent with his leadership on controlling global warming, President Obama announced last August the finalized version of his Clean Power Plan. It is the first time that national limits have been placed upon the amount of carbon released by American power plants, which are our largest source of carbon emissions, which in turn cause global warming. 3, this past November, President Barack Obama rejected the application for the Keystone XL pipeline, thus halting its construction. 4, President Obama and China's President Xi Jinping agreed to ban the import and export of ivory, of which China has been the world's largest consumer. By these two leaders making the first ever commitment to protect wildlife, elephants endangered by poaching will be protected. 5, plastic bags have now been banned for use in retail outlets by 169 cities and counties across the United States. This effort began back in 2007, when San Francisco was the first American city to pass a plastic bag ban. In spite of these significant environmental achievements, this year has been far from normal for us. Sadly, it harkens back to 1995, when the Goldman Prize winner for Africa was the only prize winner whom we've never met, Ken Saro-Wiwa. He was imprisoned in Nigeria by his ruling dictator, General Sani Abacha. In spite of our taking the unusual step of announcing his prize early to let the world know of his plight, Ken Saro-Wiwa, along with his 8 compatriots, were soon subjected to a kangaroo court. On November 10, 1995, the Ogoni Nine, as they were called, were summarily executed by hanging. It was the saddest day in the history of the Goldman Environmental Prize, until March 3rd, 2016. On that morning, word reached us that last year's winner for South America, Berta Cáceres, was murdered while lying in her own bed. I say murdered, but assassinated is more accurate. Berta was a gentle soul. However, when confronted with the wrongs being threatened upon her indigenous Lenca people of Honduras, she was a fiercely determined fighter for that which is right. For her outspoken stance in defense of her people, she was subjected to numerous and constant death threats. On March 3rd, the threats became a reality. As we continue with this evening's ceremony, we dedicate this occasion to Berta, and we retain the hope that such outrageous, inhuman actions to unjustly stifle the defense of Native peoples and their environments will once and for all cease. Please join me now as we further remember Berta Cáceres. Thank you.
Berta, as Indigenous women, we know that death is just the Earth's way of reminding us who we belong to, the land. Tonight, we summon you as courage, as mother, as teacher, as patience, as joy, as activist with a contagious smile who cut her teeth on revolution for the love of the people in the land of Honduras.
Last year, on this very stage, you said, we come from the land, water, and corn. Somos seres surgidos de la tierra, el agua, y el maíz. You were carrying the power of clenched fists and sacred rivers in your speech, the Rio Blanco and the Rio Gualquerque, sources of life and medicine for the Lenca people. It's why you were so fearless against the threats. The river had already warned you that your victory would be difficult, but you stood brave. And tonight, the river runs throughout this room, a living vein connecting all of us to this planet, a call to protect Mother Earth, just as lovingly and fiercely as you did, Berta.
Tonight, we celebrate your spirit, your passion, and what you gave your life to. The Council of Popular and Indigenous Organizations of Honduras, the rivers of the earth, and the goddesses that protect them, your passion for human rights and the oxygen of resistance. Your voice echoes like the heartbeat of every Indigena's fight for dignity.
Tonight, we celebrate you, Berta. You taught me that as an Indigenous woman, the true path towards justice is to accept the fact that the land never belonged to us, that we have always belonged to the land. You taught me how to press my ear to the soil, how to plant my feet in the river and listen as my ancestors whisper me responsible for protecting the sacredness of where all of us come from.
You taught me how to love this land both unconditionally and fearlessly, how to hold hands with the river and protect her vulnerability, how to bathe in the eternal gaze of her wisdom and listen to the songs of liberation flowing through her current. Thank you for showing me the ghosts connecting land to life and the holiness of their stories that lie beneath the water.
You've taught me the meaning of courage and solidarity. You've reminded us just how far chants of justice can travel. Since you've joined the spirit world, thousands have converged in Tegucigalpa demanding truth. 10 buses of Indigenous and Black Hondurans were stopped en route to the capital. Many walked by foot when forced to leave the buses. From San Francisco to DC, a call to action was summoned in your honor. In New York City, hundreds of women gathered, chanting,
Berta didn't die, she multiplied.
Berta, it was you who said,
Let us come together and move forward with hope.
to defend and care for the earth and its spirits. We will look for you in the villages of stars every night. We will listen for your voice like a whispering wind and hear your laughter in every crashing wave.
We will stand for justice
and feel our feet planted in every ounce of soil that we have always belonged to.
knowing that we are safe.
knowing that when you return to us,
We will become millions.
Berta, we will always carry you with us. Your resistance, your vision will continue to be passed on in every sacred drop of water that surrounds us.
Please welcome this evening's Master of Ceremonies, the former anchor of CBS, Dana King.
Berta didn't die, she multiplied. Can you feel the river in this room? Thank you so much to Leslie Valencia, Teresa Siangatono, Erika Viviana Cespedes for that incredibly moving and powerful tribute to our fallen ally, Berta Cáceres. I know that I speak for many of you that when I say, when I heard about Berta's assassination, and then not 2 weeks later, the assassination of her colleague at Copine, Nelson Garcia, my heart was shocked wide open. But my head was not surprised. Not surprised at all. Berta and Nelson knew the dangers of speaking truth to power, and they did it anyway. Berta said, "We must undertake the struggle in all parts of the world, wherever we may be, because we have no other spare or replacement planet. We have only this one, and we have to take action." We are honored this evening to have Berta's nephew, Silvio Carrillo, here. Silvio, will you please allow us to honor you and your relative, Berta? Where are you? Berta didn't die, she multiplied. And so I hope that you will join me by pledging a promise to fight even harder for the environment. At this time, we would also like to remember Dr. Bill Ballantyne, who was awarded the Goldman Environmental Prize in 1996 for his work to establish marine reserves in New Zealand. Bill passed away in November at the age of 78. But I have to admit, it is my honor and my absolute pleasure to join you this evening for the 27th Annual Goldman Environmental Prize. 27 years. And it's my honor to introduce you to 6 sheroes and heroes who have achieved so much to create a healthier legacy for our planet. These 6 environmental activists come from across the world, from widely diverse cultures, different backgrounds, and from every corner of the globe. And yet, they all share one common trait. They are all standing up for our world by organizing their communities to take action. And to you, our audience, and our friends, we thank you for taking time to join us to celebrate grassroots environmentalism. It's heroism. We know that many of you have also committed your lives to this very important work and are working tirelessly to create a better world for future generations. So we thank you tonight as well. The people you will hear from tonight, they're students, they're researchers, Indigenous people, farmers, they're mothers and fathers, sons and daughters, and they are heroes. Their heroism comes in the form of taking a stand and achieving results in the face of adversity and challenge, and for never turning away, never giving up, despite the hardships, the battles, and even the threat of death. That doesn't stop them either. By offering you a snapshot of the work and the lives of our 6 recipients, it is our greatest hope tonight that you will leave here inspired to join their ongoing efforts to protect our one planet. During tonight's ceremony and in your programs, you will have the opportunity to take action on behalf of tonight's prize winners. After all, you know, this is Silicon Valley's little sister. It's a technological age we live in. We are more connected and closer together than ever, which allows us the opportunity to support the campaigns from the Bay Area to as far away as Cambodia, Tanzania, and all around the world. And we hope here in San Francisco that you will lend your voice to these important battles for our planet. At this time, I would love to recognize the members of the Goldman family, leading this foundation and shaping the vision of this prize. Susie Gelman. John Goldman. And Doug Goldman. We recognize your leadership for carrying out the legacy of your parents, Richard and Rhoda Goldman, who had the vision and the commitment to launch this in 1989. Thank you. Thank you. Each of this evening's Goldman Prize winners will receive $175,000 to support their ongoing work. Very generous. And in addition, you can keep clapping and I'll stop talking. Each recipient tonight will be presented with a statue of the Ouroboros, which is a serpent biting its own tail, representing nature's power of renewal. Many of you who have been with us over the years will recognize this stunning and iconic artwork, which has become synonymous with the prize. And tonight, we would like to recognize the design's original creator, Aristides Demetrios, who retires this year after producing the Ouroboros for us for 27 years. Aristides. Presenting the Ouroboros will be Susie Gelman of the Goldman Environmental Foundation. So, ladies and gentlemen, I promise you, you need to prepare yourself. Prepare to be moved. Prepare to be motivated to take action. Prepare to be inspired, for we are about to meet the 2016 Goldman Environmental Prize winners.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Robert Redford. It's my pleasure to introduce you to the winners of the 2016 Goldman Environmental Prize. Baltimore holds a special place in American history, but it's really a tale of two cities, Baltimore, and to the south, Curtis Bay.
Curtis Bay and the Curtis Bay region has been dumped on for decades. People have been pushed out of their communities by developments that don't care about our basic human right to live in a healthy community.
Destiny Watford is a 20-year-old college student and Curtis Bay native. For decades, the area surrounding her neighborhood had become a toxic nightmare of heavy industry, coal transport, and incinerators. It has some of the highest concentrations of pollution in America.
Back in 2012, we found out that there was a plan to build the nation's largest trash burning incinerator less than a mile away from our high school. 240 pounds of mercury per year would have been released, 1,000 pounds of lead.
This type of air pollution contributes to cardiovascular disease, respiratory illnesses, and in some cases, exposure to diesel exhaust has been shown to affect children's cognitive development.
At just 16, Destiny embarked on a mission to stop the trash-burning power plant,
Hi, it's Destiny Watford.
which is being sold as clean, renewable energy by the developer.
Yeah, it's great. It's great coverage.
Her group, Free Your Voice, began the campaign by going door to door.
I've always been a bit shy, but when I joined the group, I was really challenged to come out of that comfort zone. And I went up to this man's door and I told him about the incinerator. He just said, "What you kids are doing is pointless. Curtis Bay is and always will be a dumping ground, and you're not going to change that." And it was a disheartening moment, but it also lit this sort of fire.
And so Destiny and students in Free Your Voice said, let's do a march that starts at our high school, and let's march directly to the site.
It was something about that moment, about realizing that if we're going to do this, then we have to build relationships. And we have to reach out to our local government. So when we found out that the Baltimore City public school system would be buying energy from the incinerator, we decided to have a presentation at the school board.
Where opinions don't matter, where opinions only die.
Destiny and her group also appeal to other incinerator customers
Our fate as a city, it involves everyone.
to convince them to drop plans to buy energy from the company.
That our system is failing us and our planet.
Ultimately, 22 customers listened, heard the voices of the community, and agreed to cancel their contracts, eliminating the financial incentive for the company to move forward. It was a remarkable victory, but Energy Answers still holds the lease to the proposed site.
The Maryland Department of the Environment, they have this opportunity to pull the incinerator's permits, which means that they couldn't legally construct.
So, today is a day of justice. Enforce the law! Enforce the law!
You have to dig deeper. We've rallied together to say that we want positive alternatives in our community. This could be the site of the nation's largest trash burning incinerator, or it could be the site of the largest solar farm on the eastern seaboard. My family lives here, and I don't want their future to be one where a massive incinerator is a priority instead of their health.
For outstanding environmental achievement for North America, the 2016 Goldman Environmental Prize is awarded to Destiny Watford, Baltimore, Maryland.
Thank you so much. It's a huge honor to be here, and I want to thank everyone for coming out, and our group, yay, we won the Goldman Prize, oh my God, who I knew are watching from at home. Our campaign to fight the incinerator has always been about storytelling, so I'd like to share one with you now. I'm from Baltimore, a place that is on the front lines of many injustices, from police brutality, racial discrimination, economic inequality, and environmental injustice. All of these stem from a system that is morally unjust and threatens our lives and the future of our planet. I'm talking about a system that wouldn't think twice about the plan to build the nation's largest trash burning incinerator less than a mile away from my high school. An incinerator that would be the worst source of mercury, of brain-damaging mercury, in the entire state, that is permitted to emit 2 million tons of greenhouse gases per year, both worse than coal. All of this in a community with the highest levels of toxic air pollution in the state, where my neighbors, family members, and friends' lives are cut short because of where we're born, where past generations literally lost their homes and the land beneath their feet, displaced by polluting industries and environmental injustice. In Baltimore, the number of deaths related to air pollution is higher than the homicide rate, and 50% of deaths in my community are avoidable. The fact that legally in my state, burning trash is considered a renewable energy source to receive public subsidies for climate solutions like wind and solar is a clear sign that our system is failing us and our planet. This is why we have to take the lead. Those directly impacted by the injustices we face, who know firsthand that this is a matter of survival and that there is a need for a new vision that is based on our basic human rights, environmental justice, and the belief that all life is sacred. We decided that it isn't the fate of our community or our planet to be a dumping ground. And I am incredibly proud to say that after months of struggle, residents sacrificing their freedom of being imprisoned, that our state government has enforced the law and terminated the incinerator's permit to construct. This is a victory and a testament to building grassroots community power. Building on this recent victory, we are now calling on FMC Corporation, the company that owns the land, to release the 90 acres of land being held by Energy Answers, the company that had planned to build the incinerator. This will make way for community-driven development initiatives, including a community-owned solar farm. So I'd invite everyone to join our fight for justice, to go to unitedworkers.org and sign our petition for FMC to free the land and to end public subsidies for trash incineration. I want to end with this very important point, that our survival as communities, as states, as a nation, as a human race depends on our ability to mobilize, study, reflect, and take action together. Thank you.
Cambodia's dense forests are home to 80% of the country's population, who rely on them for their survival. But Cambodia is ranked 5th in terms of global deforestation, fueled by a voracious demand for luxury rosewood furniture in China. Facing this threat, forest activist Leng Uch has resorted to drastic measures, risking his personal safety to defend Cambodia's forests and its people.
I'm not afraid to speak out about the fact that the government allows private companies to destroy the forests in Cambodia for their own enrichment. The forests are treasures that our ancestors have left for us. As a Khmer, I must protect the forests. There are so few left.
It's estimated that 830,000 Cambodians have been forced off their land to make way for a government program to develop large-scale commercial agriculture.
The so-called economic land concession model is just a cover for a land grab and a timber grab. Boundaries are not respected, so all the surrounding areas are being destroyed, and they're making a lot of money by illegal logging.
Once they receive authorization from the government, the companies cut the trees to sell abroad, bulldoze the forests, and burn the rest. Then they plant sugarcane, rubber, and other cash crops. So what is the government thinking when they destroy the livelihoods of millions of people?
Putting himself at tremendous personal risk, Leng went undercover, often for months at a time, posing as a tourist, a dock worker, and a cook. He gathered evidence of illegal logging to expose collusion between the timber companies and government officials.
We passed ourselves off as laborers and photographed containers belonging to a huge company that exported logs from Cambodia to China with support from the government. Then we followed the containers on our motorbikes to the international port and took more photographs. If we estimate that each container is worth at least $5 million, with 30 containers, we're talking about $150 million a day.
Leng released photographs and reports to the press, uncovering a multi-million-dollar illegal log smuggling network, including timber tycoons with close ties to the highest levels of the government. His campaign focused international attention on the issue, inevitably shaming the Cambodian government. In 2014, the Environmental Ministry canceled 23 concessions, covering 220,000 acres of forest, including 2 concessions inside Virache National Park. It was an unprecedented achievement. This rare victory inspired forest communities to take up the fight.
Among our successes is the fact that communities are now working together to patrol the forests every day. But I am not content. Our wish is for the government to completely stop granting permits to private companies and to revoke all land concessions throughout Cambodia.
For outstanding environmental achievement for Asia, the 2016 Goldman Environmental Prize is awarded to Leng Uch, Phnom Penh, Cambodia.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, today I'm very grateful for the opportunity to tell you about the real situation in Cambodia. the exploitation of natural resources continue at a fast speed in my country. Forests are being destroyed. Poor people and indigenous people are losing land and livelihood to private companies whose goal is short-term profit. This has led to the destruction of protected area and one of the highest deforestation rate in the world. I am a part of growing movement to resist this and to protect our country. Tonight, I ask you to help us find justice and rule of law. Our government still see environmental defender as troublemaker, as enemy, and crony companies are biggest problem for nature and livelihood conservation in Cambodia. As this mission, a friend of mine was recently kicked out of Cambodia for campaigning against hydropower dam in Kokong. Last year, 2 forest rangers was murdered when they was on patrol inside the jungle. Journalists have been attacked and killed for reporting about illegal logging. And many of you here tonight have probably heard of Chotwiti, my colleague who was assassinated during his illegal logging investigation in 2012. As I have experienced personally, the dangers to activists are real. Now is the time to act before it is too late. On this occasion, I would like to ask all of you to participate in our campaign and tell your government to use their influence in Cambodia to end exploitation in our land. The forest does not belong to only me. It also belongs to you, and it also belongs to the people around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, please join us to fight against illegal logging in Cambodia. Long live environment hero around the world. Thank you for your kind attention.
Pezinok is a picturesque community nestled in the Carpathian Mountains near the Danube River. Just a stone's throw from the center of Pezinok sits a blight on the city's landscape that the community has endured for decades.
I have always known about the existence of the dump. We actually grew up nearby. I gradually learned that the old dump held millions of tons of waste, including hazardous waste. And I was concerned about the health of everyone around me.
Na Slovensku neexistujú štúdie.
When I learned that there was a plan being developed for a new landfill next to the old one, I felt I needed to do something about it.
Zuzana Kapitova is an attorney with a background in municipal law. She was able to access studies from across Europe and the United States that showed the severe impact on the health of communities that were within several miles of a toxic landfill. In Pezinok, the landfill was a mere 160 yards away from the closest homes.
Takže inšpirovaní týmito informáciami sme...
And those studies indicated unequivocally that waste disposal sites do have an effect, causing cancer as well as reproductive disorders, respiratory problems, and many other issues. Leukemia near the dump site was 8 times higher than the Slovak national average.
No práve to zdravotné riziko, ktoré je nakoniec podložené.
The old landfill operated for decades without barriers, without drainage, and without gasification. So, the owners of the landfill were simply not obeying the law.
Zuzana Kapitova had an understanding of the local politics and processes for city planning and development permits. First and foremost, though, she had a sense of how to develop awareness in the community.
Ako právnička a môj kolega Jarko Pavlovič.
We wanted people to know, so we published our own magazine and provided a regular flow of information. We hardly knew at the time what an important investment into public awareness it was.
When Susanna's group called for the first public protest against the landfill, their expectations were admittedly low. As she stepped to the microphone to welcome her constituency, she was shocked to be looking at 6,000 concerned citizens gathered in the town square.
It was really satisfying and encouraging to see that we had the full support of the townspeople. For Pezinok, it was the largest demonstration since the Velvet Revolution in 1999.
Zuzana's efforts played a role in the Slovakian legislature passing a bill that shut down the old dump site. She then took the matter of the new dump site to the Supreme Court of Slovakia.
Možno by som ešte doplnila, že...
The most important point in time was when finally the Supreme Court issued the decree, which meant that the legal permit for the new dump was canceled. It was a feeling of huge satisfaction, although it took many long years.
Znamená to víťazstvo v každom prípade. Vyhrali sme. Vyhrali sme, to znamená, že je zrušené povolenie na skládku, skládka sa prevádzkovať nesmie, teda samozrejme potom ako budú doručené rozhodnutia. Takže zdravím.
I am very glad that the dump is closed and the permit cancelled. And my children, and in fact all of us in Pezinok, will no longer be exposed to a senseless risk of further illness on account of the dump.
For outstanding environmental achievement for Europe, the 2016 Goldman Environmental Prize is awarded to Zuzana Kapitova, Pezinok, Slovakia.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for the honor to be here with you tonight. Let me express my deepest gratitude to the Goldman Environmental Foundation. I would also like to thank the people back home, my family, my friends from the Pezinok Initiative, and my colleagues in Via Juris. Your award is a great encouragement for me, as well as hundreds of other people in Slovakia. I would like to be a bit personal tonight. I would prefer to speak to you as a woman and a mother, instead a lawyer. Our story for me began 17 years ago. It has been a great experience and a great gift. A gift because it has taught me how to overcome my biggest challenge, my own fear. My fear was called cancer, which brings suffering to many people in my town. My fear was the most powerful impulse for my work on the case, and paradoxically, the case then gave me the lesson in bravery. The case was an intense experience with arrogance and vulgarity of political and economical power, an experience with evil. I have learned our fight with evil is not against evil people, but against their evil action. Let's be free of hatred. Only then our journey can be effective and just. Our story has a happy ending. The Slovakian court abolished the permit and the new dam cannot be operated. The case was decided also by the European Court of Justice in Luxembourg. As a result, the small town of Pezinok clarified the rules for all European Union countries. Our story has given hope to many other people who fight against reckless developers. In Slovakia, we are still learning lessons about democracy after the fall of communism. But no country has democracy working well on autopilot. We cannot let it run without our involvement. The same goes for the protection of our planet. It needs engagement. To stay engaged on my journey, I was helped by a personal prayer. Allow me to conclude by saying it on behalf of all of us. I ask for the wisdom to be useful to the cause. I ask for the humility so that our message will be embraced. I ask for capability to accept what comes to us, to be free from result. And let's be compassionate and act to save the planet. Thank you. Ďakujem.
Destiny, Lang, and Susanna, the first three of our 2016 Goldman Environmental Prize winners. Congratulations and thank you. What started as a frustration or outrage or fear turned into the truth that provided a positive outcome that saved lives in your community and ultimately around the world. Thank you so much for your work. Now, we know that the Goldman Environmental Prize recipients inspire us, but perhaps none so much more than the next generation. So tonight, as is our tradition, we have more than 500, and I want to hear you, 500 young environmental leaders, students, and activists from all around the Bay Area in our audience. Where are you? Let's hear you. Yes. Bravo! And know that we are counting on you. So please, keep up the good work. Tonight we ask you to join the conversation on Twitter, for the young people, I don't really get it. YouTube, Chit Chat, or whatever that thing's called. Facebook, I got that. You know, the Goldman Prize has nearly 600,000 followers and friends. Please use the hashtag Goldman Prize to stand up for our world by lending your voice to this dynamic conversation around tonight's recipients and their work. share the word. As many of you know, we live stream this ceremony on YouTube and Facebook. So if you're tuning in from afar, we welcome you to our audience, and we're glad that you have joined us this evening, whether you're just down the road or you're watching us from another continent. Now, we have a very, very special performance this year. You know, it's our tradition to feature a dance from around the world, and in our 27 years, this is the first time presenting a traditional Aztec piece. Founded in 2004, Calpulli Tonaloque is an Azteca Mexican community based in San Jose. Their name is from the ancient Nahuatl language, meaning the community of guardians who accompany the sun. Calpulli Tonaloque will be presenting a traditional entrance and salute to the four directions, Father, Sun, and Mother Earth. The dance presented is called Huilota, or the dove dance. This dance is done in pairs and represents the ancient philosophy of ometeoti, balance and equilibrium and centrality. It speaks to the love and compassion that we should all have for one another and for all living things. Ladies and gentlemen, Calpulli Tonaloque. Wow. Kalpuli Tonaloke. Just feeling that ancient heritage. So important to keep alive for our young people. That's beautiful. Are you ready now to meet the final 3 winners of the 2016 Environmental Prize? Shall we?
Esta laguna se llama la Laguna Azul. Hace más o menos 20 años.
This is Laguna Azul. I've lived near the lake for almost 20 years. I walk my sheep and other animals here. There is water everywhere here. It has always been like this. Our lakes provide water for the communities downstream.
In 1994, Maxima Acuna bought land and built a small home. That same year, just 10 miles away, Colorado's Newmont Mining Corporation opened the Yanacucha mine. It's Latin America's largest open-pit mine and one of the world's most profitable.
La empresa minera Yanacocha en Cajamarca.
The Yanacocha mine has destroyed our water sources and drained our lakes. Our water has turned an orange color, and there is cadmium, lead, and arsenic.
Maxima's land provides direct access to additional gold and copper deposits in the surrounding plateaus. Newmont plans to drain Laguna Azul and 3 other lakes to develop a new mine called Conga. Maxima stands in the way of billions of dollars of gold and copper on this mountaintop.
Vinieron a pedir un diálogo la empresa que...
They came and asked me to sell them my land. But that's an absurd idea. I will never sell it.
When the offer to buy the land didn't work, the mining company tried to evict Maxima, claiming that she and her husband were not legitimate owners.
Entonces ahí...
I stepped out with the title to my land and I said, "Gentlemen, there are no grounds to kick me out. My husband and I bought this land with the sweat off our backs." I was crying and I said, "Please don't do this to me. Where am I supposed to go?" I was attacked by the police and the company's security team.
When Maxima's daughter tried to stop them, the 2 were beaten and left unconscious.
La empresa minera los denuncia además con unos argumentos.
The mining company made up some ridiculous charges. They accused them of being illegal squatters on their own land. Then they took them to court.
The court punished Maxima and her husband with a suspended prison sentence of nearly 3 years and fined them almost $2,000. Maxima appealed and used the verdict to galvanize community support.
Muchos de ustedes, compañeros, saben cómo yo he sufrido, cómo yo he enfrentado a la empresa minera y levantarnos a una sola voz de protesta y decir que se vaya la minería de nuestro país.
Local citizens organized themselves as the guardians of the lakes, camping on Maxima's land to protect her and Laguna Azul. After 2 years of appeals, the courts overturned Maxima's prison sentence and stopped her eviction. This legal victory stalled Newmont's development of the Conga mine.
Y cuando mi abogada dijo,
When my lawyer told me they ruled in our favor, I was thrilled because I thought the conflict was finally over and I would be able to live at peace again on my land.
Maxima's bravery has been recognized throughout Latin America. She received a special award from Peru's National Coordinator for Human Rights for her activism.
pero fue peor.
But now things are worse because they won't leave us alone, not even for 1 second. They literally have my house surrounded. They've even built a fence around it. But I will never kneel before Yanacocha, and I am never going to give up. No way.
For outstanding environmental achievement for South and Central America, the 2016 Goldman Environmental Prize is awarded to Maxima Acuña, Cajamarca, Peru.
Yo soy una jalqueñita, yo soy una jalqueñita, que vivo en las cordilleras, que vivo en las cordilleras. Pasteando mis ovejas, pasteando mis ovejas, en neblina y aguacero, en neblina y aguacero. Cuando mi perro ladraba, cuando mi perro ladraba, la policía llegaba, la policía llegaba. Mis chocitas lo quemaron, mis chocitas lo quemaron, mis cositas lo llevaron, mis cositas lo llevaron. Comidita no comía, comidita no comía, solo agüita yo tomaba, solo agüita yo tomaba. Camita yo no tenía, camita yo no tenía, con pajita me abrigaba, con pajita me abrigaba. Por defender mis lagunas, por defender mis lagunas, la vida quisieron quitarme, la vida quisieron quitarme. Ingenieros seguritas me robaron mis ovejas, caldo de cabeza tomaron en el campamento de Conga. Si con esto adiós, adiós, hermosísimo laurel, tú te quedas en tu casa, yo me voy a padecer. Por eso yo defiendo la tierra, defiendo el agua, porque eso es vida. Yo no tengo miedo al poder de las empresas, seguiré luchando. Y los compañeros que murieron en Selendín y en Bambamarca, y por todos que estamos en lucha en Cajamarca.
Some people call this land the bush or the savanna. Others call it animal or forest conservation areas or wilderness. For me and my family, this land is home.
Edward Laurie was born and raised on the Maasai steppe or grasslands of Tanzania. His life, like every other Maasai before him, has always been devoted to being a pastoralist, a nomadic herder.
Being a Maasai is composed of three key attributes, namely cattle, natural resources, and Maasai culture and traditions. These three attributes make a Maasai.
Edward and the Ujamaa resource team realized that they needed to protect the Maasai's traditional grazing lands from encroachments on their nomadic way of life.
The main problem for the pastoralist community is land grabbing. As I grew older, I noticed that our herding lands were shrinking drastically due to illegal farming, tourism, and development. They closed the routes used by the pastoralists, which derailed our herding activities. Suddenly, we started to feel our access being blocked.
With encouragement from the Maasai elders, under Edward's leadership, the team saw an opportunity to establish communal rights to the lands they had been stewarding for years. But the process of establishing their ownership was a daunting task.
Our people knew that land ownership deeds are issued to individuals. But together with the UCRT legal team, we learned that there was a possibility of securing our pastoral lands and also the Hadza communal lands.
The Hadza are one of the oldest surviving cultures. They've been living by hunting and gathering for 40,000 years. The team met with the Hadza and began to garner their trust for their plan to secure community land rights.
The Hadza have a very rich culture that would be lost if their land was taken from them. They are very clever and have expertise in animal tracking, making traditional weapons to hunt, and gathering fruits and roots and honey from the forest. First of all, we needed to have a land use plan set in place, and then we identified specific areas for hunting, gathering, and grazing. Then we applied for a CCRO, Certificate of Customary Right of Occupancy. Then, through lobbying the government and preparing all the documentation on the property, we finally achieved ownership of our lands.
Edward and the Ujamaa community resource team's exhausted efforts paid off. They successfully secured over 200,000 acres of land for the indigenous tribes of northern Tanzania.
This work is challenging, but all in all, I love what I do. Everything is done with the aim of seeking ways to help the pastoralists and the community. When we have a healthy environment, healthy pastures, we have healthy livestock, the outcome will be a healthy society.
For outstanding environmental achievement for Africa, the 2016 Goldman Environmental Prize is awarded to Edward Laurie, Masai Step, Tanzania.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Ujamaa means communityhood in Swahili. My organization, the Ujamaa Community Resource Team, adopted this word because we are a community that work together toward a shared vision of strengthening community land rights to improve livelihood and ecosystem in Tanzania. In Myanmar culture, leadership is shared. Thus, I must begin by sharing this recognition with my teammates, as it is all of our effort being recognized. Thank you in particular, Marcos Nande, Dismas Partalala, and Edward Lekaita. I also want to thank our supporters who have helped us receive this honor. You are all part of our community, and without your support, none of our achievements could have been possible. And thank you to the Goldman family for recognizing that indigenous and community rights matter. They matter for improving lives, for justice and equality, and for conservation. Today, around 2.5 billion people, that's about a third of our global population, are at the risk of losing their land to more powerful interests. Governments around the world need to protect the community and indigenous land rights, fighting for their rights and interests and not against them. I join hands, hundreds of organizations around the world calling for land right now and asking government to double the amount of formally recognized community lands by 2020. I also call on donors to support organizations working on the ground to bring about these changes. We have the knowledge, the passion, and drive and skill. What we need is right support. I will end with my proverb. That means our land is our life. Thank you so much.
Puerto Rico has been coveted for its natural resources dating back to Christopher Columbus' first landing there in 1493. 17 years ago, Luis Jorge Rivera Herrera made a discovery that would help to preserve some of the natural splendor that still remains after 500 years of tumultuous history.
Mi experiencia inicial de conocer el corredor fue durante...
In the late 90s, I found out that the Northeast Ecological Corridor was being threatened by two major resorts that were being proposed at the site. I was shocked. The proposed development of 3,000 hotel rooms and 4 golf courses would have wiped out the ecosystem completely.
Luis Jorge and his colleagues wanted to safeguard dozens of rare, threatened, and endangered plant species, some only found in Puerto Rico and nowhere else on Earth. The delicate wetlands and marine ecosystem is also a haven for an endangered species that has been nesting there since long before Columbus landed.
Las playas del corredor ecológico del noreste son una de las más importantes.
The corridor harbors one of the best and most important nesting sites for leatherback turtles in the U.S. It has the ideal setting to foster nesting activity that will help those populations of the endangered species to recover.
The turtles come in there and they reproduce and then they go all over the world, which I think is like natural magic. Puerto Ricans are beginning to understand. We used to eat them. Now we protect them because they represent a particular type of biodiversity that doesn't belong to you, it belongs to the world.
As a scientist, Luis Jorge thought that providing the data about the environmental importance of the area to the government would stop the development plans. But he soon learned that science alone wasn't going to save the corridor.
Probablemente un inicio fui bastante ingenuo.
We needed to adopt a new strategy. We began filing lawsuits. We reached out to the citizens and community about the impact of the resorts on the natural habitat and on their daily lives. We did this through the press, television and radio, and social networking. Ultimately, we gained momentum when we held a festival that included music and cultural activities, but educated people about the turtles and their habitat. Then we entered a new battlefield. We decided to introduce a bill in the legislature to protect the area.
El proceso de redactar
It was very difficult lobbying senators because there wasn't a culture of having common citizens demanding that a bill be approved and implemented. The process was very intense, especially because a former Supreme Court justice was hired by the developers to advocate against our bill.
After more than 12 years of campaigning and lobbying by Luis Jorge and his partners, the governor of Puerto Rico signed the Northeast Ecological Corridor into law as a permanently protected nature reserve.
We were extremely happy and proud after having put in all that time and effort. Even happier because it was unanimously approved by all the legislators.
El haber tenido la oportunidad de haber...
The possibility of my son Francisco sharing those same feelings that I have about nature and the ocean and wildlife makes me feel that I have at least partially fulfilled my duties here on Earth.
For outstanding environmental achievement for islands and island nations, the 2016 Goldman Environmental Prize is awarded to Luis Jorge Rivera Herrera, San Juan, Puerto Rico.
Good evening, everyone. First, I'd like to thank my colleagues who nominated me for this honor. I also like to thank the Goldman family and all the Goldman Prize staff. As you are aware from many years awarding other prize winners, environmental victories rarely come from the work of a single person. It is the effort of many people who share a responsibility to protect this planet. And in doing so, we are protecting the most precious gift of all, our family, friends, the community, and the special places that are dear to all of us. I am grateful to all of those who have allowed me to join them in this endeavor. My faith in God and the support of my family and friends have been indispensable in any achievements I may be related to. But most importantly, they have granted me the joy of serving others and helped me find a sense of purpose in my life. The unrelenting commitment of many volunteers and over a decade of hard work led to the designation of the Northeast Ecological Corridor as a nature reserve. This was a very important milestone, but it is not enough to ensure its conservation. There are still private lands that need to be purchased within the reserve so the whole area can be managed as a unit. This will allow for the development of ecotourism amenities or activities sensitive of its precious ecosystems and for everyone to enjoy, while providing a much-needed source of revenue for local communities, especially at a time when Puerto Rico is facing an unprecedented economic crisis. Just this week, and without any formal input from the people of Puerto Rico, the U.S. Congress plans to vote on a bill that will let proposed projects ignore environmental laws on the island in order to fast-track their approval and supposedly improve our economy. This is an unacceptable course of action because if we seek to achieve environmental justice and sustainable development, we must first empower citizen participation and protect our natural resources. And as all of you know, citizen participation and the protection of our natural resources is a basic principle if we want to make the world and America great again. Just as the leatherback sea turtles return every nesting season to the corridor after an incredible journey through the waters of the Atlantic Ocean, I hope you join us in overcoming the exciting challenges that lie ahead. Thank you for this honor.
Congratulations to our 6 winners of the 2016 Goldman Prize. We are so pleased to have met you. It is our great honor to celebrate you. You have such courage. You have such strength and this fierce, open-hearted faith in your mission that is contagious. Thank you for all you do, for all you have done, and all you will continue to do. And as you go forward, it will be with much greater support. Congratulations. And ladies and gentlemen, here in San Francisco, as well as around the globe online, we want to thank you for giving us your time and joining us tonight as we celebrate the 27th Annual Goldman Environmental Prize. Yes. In 1989, Richard and Rhoda Goldman launched a bold and visionary endeavor to shine a spotlight on unrecognized heroes. 27 years later, as we celebrate our 175th prize recipient, We are grateful for their vision, their dedication, their passion, and their grassroots activism to create a better and safer world for each and every one of us. We urge you tonight to support the work of this evening's recipients by lending your voice to their efforts. Please visit the Goldman Prize, it's our website, to take action to support the work of each of tonight's grassroots environmental heroes. And again, please share the inspiration and spread the word using hashtag Goldman Prize. Now, as we come to the close of our ceremony this year, a reminder, please remain seated until the prize recipients have exited the theater. At the conclusion of this ceremony, we invite you to join us across the street at City Hall for a very special celebration and reception to meet this year's prize winners. So remember, please hold your applause, okay? As we welcome tonight's 6 recipients. Destiny Watford from Curtis Bay, Maryland. Oh, go ahead, clap. Right? Yes. Lang Och from Phnom Penh, Cambodia. Zuzana Kapitova from Pezinok, Slovakia. Maxima Acuna from Tragadero Grande, Peru. Edward Lore from Arusha, Tanzania. Luis Jorge Rivera Herrera from San Juan, Puerto Rico. Each of you are a powerful and very important reminder that standing up for our world leads to real change in ways that can only protect our planet. So necessary. So please, welcome back to the stage the 2016 Goldman Environmental Prize winners. If your heart is full, take advantage of that. We hope that you are ready to go out and heed the call that has been led by 6 courageous individuals. I leave you tonight with words from the Sufi poet Rumi. All religions, all this singing, one song. The differences are just illusion and vanity. The sun's light looks a little different on this wall than it does on that wall, and a lot different on this other one. But it is still one light. You are the light. Join the Goldman Prize and shine your light on the world. Thank you so much for joining us. We will see you again next year, and there is work to be done. Good night.